Welcome back to MFO, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to another episode. It came out earlier this weekend that B.A.S.S has put in some new rules regarding what anglers can do to make money while they're fishing on the B.A.S.S Elites. And this specifically relates to anglers who stream content while they're fishing an event. No more. In 2026, B.A.S.S has prohibited anglers from streaming content while they're fishing on an Elite Series event. We'll talk about why this is and what the impact is to certain specific anglers when we come back. Welcome back to Mark Fisher Outdoors, everybody. I'm Mark Fisher. So, beginning in 2026, anglers are not able to live stream from their boat their day on the water while they're participating in an Elite event. Now, before we get all bent out of shape about B.A.S.S, taking money out of the pockets of anglers, the reality is this rule has been in place on the BPT side for quite a while. But it was okay as of last year, and many of you maybe even followed, like Chris Zaldain, for example, or Ben Milliken, would stream their tournament day. And in Chris's case, he had some tournaments where he was having up to 30,000 people view his stream from his boat specifically during a tournament day. B.A.S.S is looking at that going, those are 30,000 people that are watching you, Chris, and not watching the event on our streaming network, whatever that is. And so they have eliminated that, and that is no longer an option. This raises a whole lot of questions in my eyes. Number one, these anglers who have the kind of following that people are willing to go on to their streaming platform, say YouTube, for example, and watch them fish, yes, they're taking away from the people who would potentially maybe go watch on B.A.S.S. However, those people are people that are paying attention to B.A.S.S in general because those people fish on the Elite. And so to deprive that angler from making that revenue and forcing that revenue to go to B.A.S.S, where B.A.S.S may not be covering Chris because Chris isn't in the top 10 or something like that, seems to be kind of an unfair rule, number one. But also, where's Chris's compensation for the acknowledgement that, hey, I'm bringing these 30,000 people to your platform and they're watching the Elites? To me, it raises, Chris is losing revenue, number one. And I'm just using Chris as an example, guys. I'm not using this as a forum to stand up for Chris Zaldain or any of the other anglers that stream. I'm just using that as an example. But the reality is, for whoever the angler is, that angler is losing that revenue. And you can say, well, they shouldn't be allowed to get it. They're working for B.A.S.S, and everything that they do should go to B.A.S.S. I get that. But there's an argument to be made that if that particular angler has that amount of draw power to where they're able to draw those fans in, that angler should be able to in some way demand a certain amount of revenue from B.A.S.S for the fact that they bring those kind of fans in. And we're absolutely, by B.A.S.S saying that they can't stream, B.A.S.S is acknowledging that they are losing views because of it. And now we're going to recoup the views, but we're not in any way acknowledging that that angler should be compensated for the fact that they bring views to the table. And I think that is something that is kind of an interesting, two sides of the coin. There's definitely two sides to this that should be acknowledged. And this is just the first time in my awareness that B.A.S.S is acknowledging the fact that certain anglers bring views to their platform, to their organization, to their tournament circuit. And if you're going to acknowledge that certain anglers have that drawing power, then where does it come in that they get compensated differently than the other anglers that don't have that drawing power? To me, that's a conversation that needs to happen. And it's a conversation, if you go back to a video that I did a while ago, where the reality is that, in my opinion, tournament organizations should change the whole makeup of how this is. Rather than us paying to participate, tournament organizations should pay for us to participate. And there's a level of payment that goes from first place to last place. We are the reality TV stars that participate in this event, and they create the program, the viewing product around these 50 or 150 or however many anglers are in the tournament. We are the reality TV performers, just like any reality TV show, any TV game show, or anything like that. The performers get paid to participate. They know what they're going to get. First place is going to get this. Second place is going to get this. Last place, you're going to get something. You're being paid to go and do it. And the tournament organization now has a platform that they can go charge sponsors, advertisers, and things like that. And as paid performers in this, we aren't entitled to get any other revenue. We can still get sponsors, but we aren't entitled to get any other revenue from our job, which is we show up in the morning, we fish, and whatever place we come in, we get paid that amount. To me, I think that's a much more honest, pure, and financially driven way to run tournaments. I'm curious as to what you guys think about this, but there's definitely this whole idea of no longer being allowed to stream tournaments puts people in a place where they're, like I said, number one, on the organization standpoint, they're admitting to the fact that they're losing revenue that's going to you, but it's you, the angler, that's drawing that revenue into their platform. I'm curious as to what you guys think about it. Guys, thanks for joining me on today's episode. We will see you tomorrow for another episode of Mark Fisher Outdoors. Take care, everybody.